Chemistry Room Fragrances is the perfect addition when elevating the vibe of any space. Whether if it's your home, car, or office, and something needs a quick refresh, our room fragrances provide that beautiful burst of fragrance with just one quick mist. Shop now at www.chemistryroomfragrances.com and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Chemistry Room Fragrances. Chemistry Room Fragrances. Smells so good.
Hey, Kaleb, thanks for joining me.
Hey. Happy Tuesday to you.
Happy Tuesday to you, too. Today is a very special day for me. It is my sorority anniversary. 24 years ago today, I joined Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
Hey,
So, shout out to all my stands. Raise of gold. Happy anniversary to us. We make 24 look amazing.
amazing. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. So, first of all, just catching up. If those did not see you a couple weeks ago, you were on the Heart and Soul, the singles panel. You did a phenomenal job. Brought
Thank
you
you.
back here because we wanted to know, who is this guy? Who is
Okay.
he? So we had to go ahead and bring you back. So before we jump into everything, I want to say thank you, everyone, just for supporting me throughout this entire month as we're in a new month of March. Time is just flying by. If you haven't heard, good black men still exist. They really do, because you know what? All of them are not bad. You can get that merchandise right now on my website at Chemistry Room Fragrances. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at that same handle, Chemistry Room Fragrances. To celebrate, this is our inaugural year of Chemistry Room Fragrances. I am doing a spring bling, spring break sale. If you're old school, y'all remember on MTV, BET, Spring Bling.
Bring.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. So if you use the coupon code SPR22, that is also the year of the poodle. That's also the year I joined SG Row, because I did cross in the spring and in the spring year of 22. So use the coupon code SPR22 and you will save that amount at the checkout. So be sure to do that. Follow me on Instagram at Camille.Essig. And we're going to get right into this conversation. So with that being said, we do want to welcome Kaleb Elijah. He is the founder and creator of Lake and Prosper, representing Houston, Texas, baby.
Yeah.
Yes, A-Town is in the building. So Kaleb, what's up? Let us know a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity, to be a part of your platform. Last panel, it was such a blessing to be a part of. So thank you again for that. But like you said, my name is Kaleb Elijah. I am the creator and founder of Lake and Prosper. We do custom gemstone jewelry as well as affirming apparel as well. And so I've been doing that for about, I think it's 5 years now, going on 5 years now, and we'll get a little bit deep into the story, but I'm gonna just leave it at that right now. But thank you for having me. I'm so ready to dive into this conversation tonight.
So I want to know, how did you come up? Thank you, and you're welcome. First of all, how did you come up with the name Lake and Prosper? Like, what is the background of the name of your brand?
Okay, so what it is that when we talk in biblical terms, water represents the Holy Spirit and the anointed. So Lake and Prosper is really anointed to prosper, is what it is. And so it just kind of came to me, just like the birth of it, the way that it came to me as well. So Lake and Prosper really means anointed to prosper.
That's really good. So was this like a idea that it dropped into your mind, or like, what is your inspiration behind starting the brand? Like, what is the backstory behind Lake and Prosper?
So in 2017, 2018, I lost my mother to a very short battle of multiple myeloma cancer. It was swift. And so she passed 2 days after Christmas. And so we had, memorialized her and had her funeral in January of that next year. And I was just going through my grieving process. and I was literally sitting on the couch, and a flash came just in front of my eyes, like I'm looking at this screen, and I saw myself making jewelry. I had never done this before, never had an interest in it, never thought about arts and crafts. Like I'm an artistic person, but really not in that way. At least I didn't think I was. And so it flashed, and when it flashed, it it was like the beginning, the middle, and the end. It all kind of went together, and I saw myself doing it. So I got on YouTube, and I was like trying to figure out like how to make jewelry, and I made my first bracelet, and I just put it on. I put it on Facebook, and people started gravitating to it, and so for the first couple of years, all I did was make custom jewelry for people. And last year, another flash came. I'm always putting, affirming words on social media. And so Spirit was just like, take those affirmations and put them on apparel. And so I went out, I bought the stuff. At that time, I had a business partner who we're no longer business partners anymore, but God bless. And I went out and I bought the stuff, and it's just been happening. It's just been happening.
It's crazy how, like, even for me, how God will give you a vision for something that you don't have the background for.
Yeah.
And as they say a lot of times, that's how you know it's God, is when it's bigger than you, it's bigger than your budget. And even, like as you were giving your story, what I'm doing now, I don't have a background for any of this, but
Yeah.
yet sometimes things will just download into your spirit, and you just get led and directed on how to do things. And sometimes it's not even knowing, like you said, the beginning from the end, but just trusting God to say, you know what, this feeling or whatever he's showing me or leading me, that nudge, I'm going to go with it. And along the way, he'll show you, do this, do that, tweak that. You might mess up, fix this next time. And then we'll also give people and bring people into your life to get you to the next point. They might not get you to the end, but you'll get just enough to get to the next phase. And then when you get to the next point is then the next set of instructions. And we see that all throughout the word of God, where, he told Abraham to go. He didn't say, everything he was going to go through. He just said, go. And so that's the premise of this conversation, because as entrepreneurs, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, to be an entrepreneur, faith is a necessity. There's no way you can be, at least in my world, an entrepreneur and not do that without the element of faith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so amazing. Again, I didn't know that the name of this today was going to be Faith Over Everything. And so when I woke up this morning, I was just kind of going throughout my day, and the Holy Spirit just stopped me in my track. And the message that needs to get out, especially to us as entrepreneurs, is that when you are living by faith, and when you are cultivating your vision by faith, you need to stop discussing what God is giving you with people who live by the facts. I'll say that again.
Yeah, I was about to say, repeat that one.
when God gives you something, and you are stepping out on faith, you have to stop discussing that with people who live solely by the facts. Why is that? People who live by faith, we don't care about the facts. The facts is in what God has called us to do. Now, that doesn't mean that we erase logic, but oftentimes, I think about Noah and being called to build something that required nothing but faith. You didn't have a blueprint. You never saw ark before. You never saw rain before. You're going solely off of hearing the voice of God for your life and the vision for your life. What would have happened if Noah started having conversations with people that were going and living based off purely just the facts? And a lot of times we talk ourselves out of walking in the promises of God because we tell our dreams to dream killers. So God will download something to us and we excited. We believe God, we trust God, right? And you call up your home girl, I got a vision, I got this. Oh, you ain't got the money for that. Now you questioning, did I hear God? Or you call up or you call up your family. Listen, I just seen the house. God told me to step out on faith and build this and go after this. And you on the phone, well, your credit messed up. And so a lot of times we are allowing counsel from people who don't have the same faith that we have. And a lot of times, you know, God didn't include them in your vision anyway. And so we have to be mindful and we have to be open and we have to be prayerful of God, send me, like you said, the people that are going to help me get to the next level. And so we have to be mindful of the people that we connect with when we live and we breathe and we're operating and we're running our business based on faith.
Yeah, I always say when you do that, it's like asking a colorblind person if your outfit matches. Like
Yeah.
you're asking someone that can't even see color, how does this look? Like they don't have the depth, the perception, the sense of color, texture.
Right.
That's a really, really good point. When we are talking about connecting faith and entrepreneurship, because there are times where, as you know, in business, it's cyclical. It goes up and down.
Yeah.
You'll have a launch, it's hot, then it'll drop off. You
Mhm.
have seasonal shoppers. You have, your graduation season. Then it's Christmas.
Right.
Summertime is iffy because people are traveling. Then back to school is iffy because people are trying to put kids in school. So the priorities are school supplies. And so in between that, you're thinking, God, you told me to do this. This
Yep.
week, my sales is flat.
I mean, flat.
So can you kind of unpack that mindset a little bit more as far as having the know with all knowing this is what God told me to do, and then number two, the spirit of endurance, riding the highs and lows of entrepreneurship.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking about this today, and there are more times that I go and I'm like, God, this ain't giving what it was supposed to have gave.
It's not
You know
understanding.
what I'm saying? I'm like, was this just supposed to be for a season?
Yeah.
Is the season up? But I think that you talk about endurance, right? And I think that we need the ebbs and flows of business because that is how that's what keeps us prayerful. That's what keeps us in conversation with God. So if you always riding the high, let's just be real. When we ride in the high, we become complacent in our faith. We become complacent in our prayer. Like why? Because we on that grind. You know what I'm saying? So I thank God. Even though it's in those moments, I go to God in frustration. I'm like, I done bought all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I bought all of this, and I'm expecting. You know what I'm saying?
Supply chain is real. Okay, the supply chain is real.
Exactly, but it is in those moments that my mom used to always say, "There's always a ram in the bush," right? And so I swear, every time that I've just been like, I quit, there's a ding on my phone, and that serves as confirmation. Keep going, And so I think that it's important that we understand, especially as faith believers, that success isn't linear. There's ebbs and flows, but in those ebbs and flows, I think it's also important. God is not going to allow us to burn out as well. And we have to understand that we're not grinding like the world is grinding. We grinding from a different perspective, right? So you need those moments when nothing is happening, because that's where you need to be in prayer. You need those moments where nothing is happening. So that's where you need to be able to hear what's next and get downloads on what to create next, where to go next, or to wait to see who is coming in for your next leg of your race. You know what I'm saying? And we're human, we feel like, especially with this age of social media, we see everybody, posting, and they got all of these followers and this. And one thing that God has been dealing with me about, there are so many classes and courses to take, right? Build this many followers, do this. And every time I jump on that, it doesn't work for me. Because God is saying that is not the way I told you to go, and we have
What I
to
call
make
the hacks and the strategies, the hacks and the strategies. There's always like a hook, a hack, or a strategy coming out every week. Like, hey, if you do this, do that. And even with Instagram, there's an algorithm. And once you kind of get a rhythm, like, oh, this is working, they change it.
change
They're
it.
constantly moving the carrot. And
Mhm.
it's kind of unfair because it's like, leave it alone,
Right.
and just when you're just getting kind of your mojo going, they move the carrot again further
Mhm.
away, and
Right.
it can be exhausting and discouraging if
Right.
you don't know your why. If you
If you
don't
don't
know
know
your
your
why,
why.
your purpose, or even have a sense of that, this over here is for G's only. You gotta have thick.
It's over. It's for G's. It really, really is. And it's taken me some time to really understand the blessing in them moving the carrot.
Mhm.
Because if they didn't move the carrot, like, I would depend on the algorithm.
Right.
And the algorithm didn't give me the vision. You know
No.
what I'm saying? The algorithm didn't give me the vision. And so it is finding that balance of, you know, like I said, we can't defy logic. There's things that we need to know logically in running a business. You know what I'm saying? But we have to understand that the seed that was sown into us when God gave us this vision, you
Yeah.
know, and so, I will tell everybody, like you said, remember your why, and not just remember your why, but remember who gave you your why.
That's
Remember
good.
who gave you your why. Yeah.
That's really good. When you were talking about your mom passing away and going through that process, do you think creating also gave you an outlet as far as how to process the grieving? Because sometimes people can sit in a space for too long and it can take them on another route. So do you also think this may have been another way for you? I don't want to say to not acknowledge what happened, but a way to kind of channel some of that through creativity and use it as
Abs-
another. Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you know, some of my greatest works have come from being in a wilderness, you know, um, and it it really helped me because it's something that requires your hands, but it requires focus, and it really helped me to sit in a space long enough to allow God to speak to me and to allow my thoughts to be open, so I could heal through that, and and even through that, years later, that's still my process.
Yeah.
There's moments when people just think, oh, you're gonna go through grief, especially losing your parents, and then it's gonna be over after a year. But it doesn't happen like that, because you still got the first birthday without them, the first Christmas without them, your birthday without them, their wedding anniversary, your parents. You have all of these different days that can
Yeah, what I
be
call
triggering.
milestones. Yeah, those milestones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have those milestones. And so um I also realized that in the gift that God gave to me, I've also been able to give that gift to other people. you know I've made jewelry for people that they wanted to recognize their passed on loved ones. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what keeps me going. So many times we get caught up in the numbers, and it's not always about the numbers. It's about the quality, and it's about what you can give. And so through just this, I'm sitting here tonight, you know, and being able to minister through business. So it's definitely helped me a lot. Um, I'm grateful for it, and I'm grateful that God entrusted me with this gift.
I think that's really good. And my lane, I'm an advocate for mental health, particularly for Black men Black
Right.
women, people that look like us, Black and brown, but particularly for Black men, which is one of the reasons why I created the brand Good Black Men Still Exist,
Right.
because I do believe that. I think it's really true. And then for you to be open and transparent about your journey throughout, losing your mom and the grieving process, because we don't hear a lot of men, particularly men in our community, openly discuss it. And it doesn't take away from masculinity or your identity of who
Correct.
you are. But I think it's very important that we see and hear more people that look like you to speak out in our community, as far as when you do experience a loss, when you do experience frustration, because there are so many labels and stereotypes placed on us culturally within the society. And that's one of the spaces, that we have, that we can create, like the Speaker Podcast, just to have these conversations so it can show other brothers, other sisters, particularly, the brothers, like, hey, that's a real point, and it's okay if I feel that way.
Right. Right. Yeah. And we also have to continue to make space for people to be human, without emasculating, without labeling women as being too aggressive, because they've experienced things that have made them put up their guard with things in life that are just happening. And, a lot of times, we're saying mental health, let's talk about it, especially when it comes to men. Talk about your feelings, talk about your feelings, talk about your feelings. But when you get a man, especially a man of color, who wants to be open, that is a very, very vulnerable, and that's a very, very soft spot, and we have to make sure that when we are asking Black men to emote, that we need our counterparts to be able to receive those emotions, even if it's something that we're emoting about you, even if it's something that we're emoting that you don't necessarily agree with, because you're not a man and you can't understand that. We got to get to the place within our community where we are having healthy conversations. And when I say healthy conversations, that's exactly what I mean. A lot of people think that a healthy conversation is you getting your point across and then you shutting down when somebody else has a rebuttal, or when somebody else wants to say their part, or when somebody decides, hey, I feel this kind of way about this, and you can't even hear them because you're already defensive, because you want to go and you got to say your part. We got to get to a place where in our community where it's not about being right or wrong. It's about coming to an understanding, because all of this ties into being a successful business owner. You can't create depressed. You can't create suicidal. You can't run your business and you got all of this pent up emotion in you with no place to lay it out. And I'll say this especially for us as people of color, because we've been taught our whole life, just pray about it. Yeah, pray about it, but allow God to give you the discernment as to what therapist you need to go and see, so you can work out your issues and you can work out your salvation of your mind and your mental in a healthy space.
That's really good, Caleb. And something you were saying when you were touching on the communication between men and women, because I've even had conversations to where I may have asked someone a question, not expecting the response I got, but it's like they went into an emotional trigger. And it's
Mhm,
like, whoa, I'm
mhm,
asking an honest question to have a conversation. And it's like just bitterness,
mhm,
brokenness, anger, all this hurt just comes out, and it's like,
mhm.
wow, and it's like, you women, and da 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 da, and it's just like an entire rant, and it's like they don't hear themselves,
No.
and it's like, how can you really want a real conversation where it's filled with such almost like a narcissistic meltdown?
Mhm,
If you've ever encountered a narcissist and how they can go off on these tangents, and it's
mhm.
like, whoa, wait a minute.
Right.
And I think sometimes when you have people that are in a conversation, are you hearing to hear to have a real conversation and learn, like in this space, or are
Mhm.
you just audibly listening? Because there's a difference
Right.
between to listen audibly or to hear someone audibly, but to actually listen, take in, assess, and then come back and have a healthy, intelligent exchange, and not even a heated exchange, but just a real conversation, thought thought provoking. Because in that one conversation, you might not come to a resolution, say, hey, you know what, let's table that. Let me think about that. You made some interesting points, and kind of let it roll around, let it marinate, and then come back. I think that's really important to do that, because you're not going to solve everything in one sit down.
Right. And I think it's also important, we have we have labeled everything as toxic and narcissistic. And really what it is brokenness.
Yeah. But some people do have narcissistic.
Oh yeah, some people do. Yeah, absolutely. I can say for myself, and I can be transparent. After losing my mother, I just lost my father in January, and so we have to have empathy for the people that we say that we love. And when I say that, that doesn't mean we go around trying to fix everybody. You know what I'm saying? But we have to have those real conversations. And like you said, be in a space where we're actually listening to understand and not just hearing to respond. Because we are, we talked about this on the last panel. I mean, here I was healing from losing my mother and, getting to a space where feeling a sense of normalcy, and then boom, I lose my father, And so, we'll get back on track, but all of this ties in to one another. You have people that are millionaires, that are stars, that are jumping off of buildings. You see what I'm saying?
USA a few weeks
Absolutely.
ago. Beautiful, smart. And it's like, what? Just you could never fathom, like, she had it all. Yeah. And she killed herself.
Yeah. I mean, we see it all the time. Multi-millionaires blowing their brains out, And so all of this, it goes in together. And that is why faith is so important. Because when you start to looking at the facts and the numbers and the math ain't mathing, and you spent all of this money and you in a deficit, you're going to have a solid foundation to fall back on. And that solid foundation has to be your faith.
Yeah, that's really good. And then connecting that thought to the next one. There are so many voices. There are so many personalities in the world of social media, particularly as a digital creative like yourself and myself. Finding your voice, remaining authentic in these digital spaces, because there's so many things influence you that, hey, you need to do this reel. Hey, you need to do that. I've even had people say, well, you're a nice looking lady. You should do this type of reel or do that. And it's like, no, that's not authentic to who I am. That's not what I'm selling. Right. Even though I know people say, oh, that sells, you can get more likes or follows if you post this way or take this type of picture. And I'm like, no, that's not the voice and the message of what I do. And that's not what I'm here for.
Right. And it goes back to what I said earlier. Like, you have to, those are the facts, that if you dress more provocative, you can get more views and you can get more followers. Like, that's pretty much probably a fact, right? But my faith tells me that's not the way that I'm supposed to be going, because that's not my audience. And what I had to learn is that some people will get 1,000, some people will get 500,000 or whatever. I want my reach to be who God has for me. You see what I'm saying? And I understand that God is going to bless me according to my capacity for the season that I'm in. As a solopreneur, can I just be honest that, having 5,000 orders, you know what I'm saying, a week, like I have the capacity to do that right now. And so my prayer is always, God, don't bless me ahead of my season. So when I'm in my 5,000 order a month season, I know that you have prepared me for that. You know what I'm saying? When I'm in my season where I'm supposed to have 23,000 followers, because TD Jake says this all the time: do not despise the days of small beginnings. You see what I'm saying? Everybody want to be popping now. Everybody want to be
the
the wit
spirit of
now. Everybody want to be viral now. But do you have the integrity to be viral? Do you have the sustainability in your faith and your relationship with God to be viral? You see what I'm saying? So my prayer is, God, I'm not in a race. You know what I'm saying? I'm not in a race for success, because every day when I started it, I became successful. And that's what we have to understand, is that when God shows us something, He is showing us it's in it. He is showing us it in its finality. We don't want to go through the process. You know what I'm saying? We already want to be millionaires. It's a process to becoming a millionaire. And so, as you said, with this social media stuff, like we drinking the Kool-Aid. You know what I'm saying? We looking at all of these people who, yeah, they got 23 followers, but how many? I mean, 23,000 followers. That don't mean they got 23,000 customers.
Did they
You know
buy
what I
them?
mean?
They buy the followers.
They buy the followers, right? And so God is saying in this moment, listen, your faith is real. I don't want you basing the business that I gave you on false illusions, that because here's the thing, what I had to learn, because I've tried it. I've tried to do what God didn't call me to do, and it worked for other people. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You have to do what God called you to do. That is where you're going to be successful. And listen, I'm not against making money. If you got a course that you're selling as information, I'm not against that at all. But you have to know that if God's saying, I'm not taking you that way, you can go that way. You're just going to delay yourself, because that's not the way that God is trying to put you into leadership. And what people don't understand is leaders have to go through the process, because what do you tell your followers if you haven't gone through the process? How am I going to sell you a course that I haven't traveled myself? How am I going to tell you the steps to become a millionaire if I haven't taken the steps to become a millionaire? Other than that, I'm just selling you garbage, and I'm just selling you content. I'm not giving to you what's real and what's evident.
Yeah. And it's even like you talked about the integrity, just the little things, and not cutting corners, meaning, you don't have fake reviews up, or, like we talked about, buying followers, or, running all these softwares to automatically click on people. There's so much junk out there
So
that
much.
you can do, but at the end of the day, is it going to sustain you and your brand and what you're doing? You
Right.
know, it's just, if your conscience, because you can go so far, and it's like sometimes a test, because if you can do what I call a little cheat, little
Mm-hmm.
white lie, and it doesn't bother you, and then it's like, okay, well, I'll do this, and then before
Right.
you know, you're way out, but you started small with the small cheats and the
Right.
small things. It turns into big things.
Right. One thing I've realized, though, nothing that God ever blessed me with, I lost. So a lot of times we want to, hook up with this person, and, well, I give you this. If you and we start taking bribes. You know what I'm saying?
I call it
We said we
transactional
yeah,
relationship,
we
friendship.
start taking bribes for our blessing. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it worked, and then 6 months you lose it all. You know what I'm saying? And where you back on your face of God, saying, okay, I want to do it your way this time. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference when you've been called to do something by faith, and you live. Everything I got, I've gotten by faith. You know what I'm saying? Like I've every job that I've gotten, you know what I'm saying? Every car that I've gotten everything by faith, and I'm not gonna lie, because of that, sometimes it is hard for me to look at facts. You know what I'm saying? Because if God tell me to go with it, I'm going with it. You know what I'm saying? And I need to find the balance in that, if I can be transparent, but it we have to make sure that we are holding true to our vision. It's your
Mhm.
vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell me that how to run Lake and Prosper. I can't tell you how to run chemistry fragrances, right? Because I wasn't there when God downloaded that into your spirit. Now I can tell you, hey, this works for me from a business aspect, right? But at the same time, we got to make sure that we are hearing the voice of God to know who's the person that is helping us get to our destiny and who's been sent as a distraction as well.
That's really good. So digging deeper into this conversation, because a lot of people because I'm from the church background, I'm third generation apostolic. I don't know. That's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
My father was a pastor, my mom's an evangelist, like all that.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Old school. But now God is blessed, hallelujah. Going, yes, in the church, when we talk about mental health and just that whole conversation has been so taboo. And when you are called to the marketplace, because a lot of times people feel like, oh, you're running from, your call or your ministry or whatever, but being an entrepreneur is a ministry within itself.
Absolutely.
Because you're taking a message God has given you and you're manifesting it through a product, whether it's a shirt, a room spray, a journal, whatever it is. And so now it's open to the masses. So in that, you have your highs or lows. And I was watching a panel discussion Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant did, and he was talking about depression in the ministry and how so many pastors throughout the pandemic walked away from ministering because so many of their members died. So many people were dying on top of their own family. It was just a lot.
Right.
And quietly, now you have this conversation about the quiet depression going on with ministry and those within the church. So how do you feel like, Kaleb, do we continue to have our platforms have these conversations about combating depression within being a creator or a brander or an entrepreneur? Because quiet as it kept, a lot of creators quietly battle depression because you are stretched thin. Like myself, I have a 9-to-5 on top of everything else.
Correct.
I'm back in school for something else again. And sometimes you just like, God, I'm tapped out. Like, you give me all this stuff.
Right.
I'm trying to do it and I'm tired.
And I think this is, we have been taught, especially in our culture, and we've been taught this in church, if we be real, to lie about how we feel.
I'm blessed and highly favored.
I'm blessed and highly favored, and you're dying on the inside. I'm blessed and highly favored. You about to lose your house. And in order for me to get, even just from a spiritual aspect, right? I can't get help in an area that I'm unwilling to be truthful about. And we have been taught in our churches to lie, to look spiritual, to lie, to look like God is good all the time. Yeah, God is good all the time, but I'm not right now. And it's okay for me not to be good. It doesn't take away from that the fact that God is. You see what I'm saying? And so it comes to the point, generation after generation, we've been told to shout it away. And you shout, you run across the church, and you get home, and you're still depressed. And then we've been told to fast it away. And we fast.
Hungry. You just look sad and hungry.
Sad and hungry or whatever. Then we've been told tithe it away, tithe it and still broke or whatever. Because this is what I was saying. We have to find the balance between, because faith in the logical things of God. You see what I'm saying? Faith in God. Yes, I have faith. Okay, you got faith. You need to go see a therapist. And you know what I'm saying? Yes, I got faith. So I'm going to have faith that when I go to therapy, they're going to give me the tools, you know what I'm saying, to work out the things that I need to work out in my natural life. You know what I'm saying? And I mean,
I think for me, sometimes growing up in the church, air quote, some things are overly spiritualized. Like instead of dealing with your problem, you're digging deeper, not into relationship, but into religion. Because now you're quoting things. I'm like, are you quoting things because you believe it, or are these just cliches that you've
Correct.
heard your whole life, and so you're shouting them back to the air, but they really have no impact, and it's just falling on deaf spiritual
On
ears.
deaf ears.
I really feel like when you're truly a person of faith, they say faith without works is dead.
I was just about to say that.
Going to therapy, doing the work, and turn to entrepreneurship. Yeah, God gave you the idea, but now you need to go research and get the information. How do I get this done? Like, for example, God gave me this idea to podcast. I don't know anything about podcasting. What was the first thing I did? Got on YouTube, started reading articles. What do I need? And which is why, my first book I released throughout the pandemic, How to Start a Podcast with Less Than $100, an ebook, because I didn't have buku money to do all this fancy stuff, but it was like, how can I start a really good podcast and not break the bank? So that's what I did. Started reading, started researching, educating myself on, okay, what type of microphone do I need? Where can I record at? What are, distribution services? So it goes from faith to now information and education.
Yeah, and it goes from words to work.
Sweat equity is a real thing.
Right. It goes from words to work. And it's like, it's kind of like this whole thing of, yeah, I got faith. I'm gonna get a new home. Okay, so when you gonna go apply for it? You see what I'm saying? Everybody is we're in a generation of information, right? And everybody brags on the information that they have, but who's using it? Like, yeah, you have all of this information. Are you applying the wisdom that you had? Yes, you read the book. Did you apply the wisdom to your life? Yes, even with therapy, because this is becoming a trend too. Oh, I'm in therapy. I'm healing. Boom, you get in an argument. You ain't used no tools that the therapist gave you. You see what I'm saying? We're bragging because we have information. We're not healing because we're not applying the information that we're receiving to our lives. And that's it. Even with church. Okay, yeah, you're going to church, right? I mean, I know.
Are you going to church? You're just going.
You just showing up. You know what I'm saying? Because now we've our pastors and our generation have evolved where it's not just hellfire and brimstone, but I'm giving you tools for everyday life. I know Jamal Bryant preaches that way. I know TD Jakes and others, they preach that way, where they can give you biblical applications for everyday life. You know what I'm saying? For you to be able to maneuver in the things that you're experiencing every day, but you going and you shouting and you doing this, but when these things come up, we do not apply those things.
Yeah, I think to me, it's also like, when you talk about tithing, it's like, oh, the 10%, but you also have to have the knowledge to manage the 90, because you can't just do the 10%, but you mishandling the 90, and that's how.
And not even only that, we can take it a little bit deeper. Like, you also have the knowledge to know about your motive as well. And there's a lot of people that are just doing things spiritually out of obligation, and you're not doing it because it's a habit. You know what I'm saying? And one thing God has been dealing with me about, especially when it comes to giving. A lot of times we give, what do we give to our tithes or whatever, and God is like, a gift with reservation is a bribe. So you're trying to bribe me. You're trying to bribe the person you're dating. You're trying to, it's really, we're operating in a spirit of manipulation a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? And we hide it under spirituality, and we hide it under religion. And we have this thing where everybody wants to look so polished and put together and with the filter on and all of this kind of stuff or whatever. But like, as soon as you break, like, why you taking the picture, you broken? Why you posting the video, you depressed? You know what I'm saying? And we're not being honest about it. It's like,
that ties back into branding and entrepreneurship, because there's a lot of people pushing brands, but it's like, well, what is your why? Why are you really doing this? Are you doing this to make money? because you want to flex on somebody
Correct.
or you want to make a financial clapback. Like, what is your purpose? What is your motive
Your
in what
motive.
you're doing? Is it because you do want to be a blessing to your community, to build a legacy for your family? And I think those are the things you really have to think about as far as why you're doing what you do.
Mhm.
Is
And
it
I mean,
to be
I
a
had a
social
moment
activist?
where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, like, man, I know God gave me the vision, but it was like, man, like, am I doing this because, man, I really wanted my, to prove a point to my family that I'm somebody, am I doing this because, I want my ex-girlfriend to see, what I'm saying, she ain't stopped nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be
Growth
real.
is real.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we have
Yeah.
to be like real about this, because it is so easy for us to get off a track, right? And go down the road of self-destruction. And if you don't have no foundation and no footing, like, what are you building? What are you
Yeah.
building?
So, Kaleb, first of all, this conversation is really good. And thank you for joining me here. I just, as you're talking, I'm sitting here thinking, because when we talk about brand, community, entrepreneurship, being Black, the mental health, those are so many gamuts to unpack. So my question to you would be, as far as how do you navigate the pivot? Because as a Black man living for Christ, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of pressure. Things are coming at you, staying focused, doing things the right way, family, legacy, my why, all of these
Right.
things, So how do you navigate those spaces and still be able to walk without veering off to the left or to the right?
Um, I've always been a kind of person to um have my own mind, you know, and I pray a lot for wisdom. Um, I believe in integrity, and I think that it's important that you have a moral compass, you know. Um, and it's hard. Like, I mean, I know people that I could network with and could say, you know what I'm saying, but and it's really hard. It's lonely, you know. Doing the right, they say it's lonely at the top, and that's people who
It's
trying to
lonely
do
right
things.
here too.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
but
lonely
the
right here
problem is,
too.
it happens. I mean, it's a real thing because, like you said, when you know your why, your purpose, you say more. How can I word this? You say no more than you do say yes,
Absolutely.
because you realize, is this a distraction? Is this helping me? Is this for long term? And it's just like, I'm good.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, I have people come and be like, okay, well, we could do this together and this, and God is like, nope, not them. And it's also because it's just my belief that, how you have some of those if it wasn't for me people. And I've had to be very careful in my life to not allow people to get God's glory. And so it is tough, it's lonely, it feels isolating. You know what I'm saying? I probably have more days that I want to quit than I want to keep going, you know? And listen, we all have temper tantrum with God, like, hey God, like, man, maybe this person ain't too bad or whatever. It's like, nope, can't do that. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
negotiating.
Yeah, just trying to negotiate. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to negotiate.
And
But
God is like,
and especially, I've had to deal with things of, we don't talk about this. When you're a business owner, like, people try to use your business to get in personal relationship with you. You know what I'm saying? The majority of my clientele is women, so I have to be very, very mindful in the conversations that I keep. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of those business owners. I mean, I ain't, just blown up where I'm not reachable. You know what I'm saying? And so, knowing that my business is a faith-based brand, I have to be mindful. One thing my mom always taught me, somebody is always watching, and I've had to be mindful of, I'm from Louisiana. Just a simple thing. We call everybody baby. You know what I'm saying? We put that at the end of everything. And it's just a normal thing for me to say, but as a businessman and a business owner, I have to be mindful in how I navigate, you know what I'm saying, with my lady clients. It's so many things that, we're not mindful of. And it's things that we're learning along the way as well.
That discernment is real, because I've had emails, DMs, messaging, trying to get on the show, and that discernment is so real.
It'll bless you if you let it.
Man, I've had to act like I didn't see some emails and messages because I'm looking, I'm like,
That's gonna cost me right there. That's gonna cost me everything right there.
And I just had to decline some guests because why you're wanting to get on the show, and I know it's because you're trying to get next to me because you have a motive, and I can smell that. And I'm like,
it's so real. Like, I mean, and then like in our generation, like, back in the day, you were starting a business, like nobody had access to you. You know what I'm saying? So that's just been another thing, for me. I'm a little bit, probably can't tell, I'm introverted, and so too much, access, it's like that meme that says, when you a business owner, you want to quit social media, but you can't because you got a business. I've been, if anybody knows a way that I can run this business and not have to be on social media, let me know, because sometimes I just want to unplug for my mental health. I need a break. You know what I'm saying?
I do it. And I'm going to tell you something, Kaleb. I did it in December, and I didn't care about sales. I was like, man, bump all. I'm from Nashville, so we say bump. Man, bump all that. I need a break. So I set up some scheduling, scheduled some posts or whatever. And that was the best 3 weeks ever, because I didn't think about it. My phone was away. And right now, because of school, again, texting, phone calls, social media, thank God for scheduling, because even though I'm engaged with school, I've been like social media, like, but it's like, oh, I need to at least create some posts, schedule it, because I have to do it. But I joke about my
friend. And it's even that anxiety, right? Like, I have to do it. Like, man, if I don't post 3 times today, the algorithm gonna change tomorrow. I'm gonna be right back. Ain't nobody gonna see my post. And it can really, really, it can create an anxiety in you. It can, that in itself can create depression, because now you're like, you're not good enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I'm not balling like that, and it makes you, like we said in the beginning, go back and like, well, God, did you really call me like to do this? Because like, why is it not working? Why am I not popping yet? You know what I'm saying? It's like all of those things. And it's so real. And we need to really start talking about, especially in our community, like entrepreneurial and emotional burnout. Like, it's real. Like, we're sleeping less, you know what I'm saying? Eating more, eating wrong, you know what I'm saying?
Because you're on the go, and if you don't have time to cook, so you go grab Chick-fil-A, you go. So
just a mess. I don't even much want to show my stomach right now. I'm just like, man, like, yo, this ain't it.
So and I do want to bring you back to have that conversation to talk about burnout. Definitely. There's just so many layers I do want to continue to unpack with you. And of course, we cannot squeeze everything in within an hour here. That's why we have the re-invitations that go out. Right. So before we end everything, Kaleb, do you have any takeaways or like some nuggets of jewels you want to give to the audience and listeners before you start wrapping up?
Yeah. Put you first. Put you first. You're no good to your business. You no good to your ministry. You no good to your children if you are not putting you first. And be honest. Even if the first person you are honest with is God, and you don't have somebody physical or tangible that you could tell what it is that you're going through. Be prayerful. Um, Understand that there is nothing to be embarrassed about if you need to go to therapy. Understand there's nothing to be shameful about if you are depressed, if you are dealing with anxiety, if you all are dealing with some of these things that even our culture and our religion say, oh, well, just take it to God. Yeah, take it to God. And then in prayer, ask God, God, send me a therapist. You know, Trust the divine timing of God as well. Um, Sometimes we're looking at other people's chapter 10 and we in chapter 5, and we have to be grateful. God, thank you for my chapter 5, because I know in chapter 5, I'm learning everything that I need to learn to go to my chapter 6. There's no, the only competition is your old self. That's the only person that you need to be competing with. I'm just trying to be better than I was yesterday. I'm trying to be better than I was in 2021. I'm not trying to be better than a Camille. I'm not trying to be better than some of these other brands. Your brand is going to be your testimony. And the problem is that we're trying to live out other people's testimony. Your brand, your business will be a testament of your faith and your faith only.
That's good. It's really good. And also want to ask you, what's new on the horizon for you? Like what's something coming down the pipeline that we need to look out for?
Listen, let me tell you something about pipelines. I'm all pipeline out. I work a job that requires me to travel. Of course, getting ready to do my spring collection. We're about to get out of these hoodies and we're about to get out of these t-shirts and everything like that. And so, I've just been working through my own grieving process. So I'm in a space where, God, if you send me, I'll go, and I'm really just not even, I'm just saying, God, what comes to me, I know it's going to be rightfully for me. And then I'll share it with people, because I know for me, if I get to being all what's next, that's going to cause me an anxiety that I'm just be real. I'm working through, you know what I'm saying? So definitely the spring collection is getting ready to come out. I'm going to have some popping colors with more affirming messages as well. And so we just gonna see where God is leading Lake and Prosper and myself as we go through this year.
Awesome. I love it. We got to do like a brand mashup collab. We got to work.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
And where can people find you on social media and purchase Lake and Prosper?
Yeah, so you can go to Lake and Prosper. That's www.lakeandprosper.com. Subscribe for our newsletter. You'll get 15% off of your first purchase. We have jewelry there. We have apparel there as well. You can definitely follow me on Instagram at Lake and Prosper. And then if you're looking for me on Facebook, you can find it at Lake, the and sign, Prosper on Facebook.
I love it. And by the way, I got my Hustleaholic sweatshirt. I love it. It's super comfy.
Matter of fact, when we get off, I gotta go get my. When we get off, I gotta go and get. I've been meaning to do it. I gotta go get my Good Black Men exist. Yeah, I gotta go get that. I need that in my life.
Yeah, and thanks for featuring me on your collab collage. I was like, oh, I'm famous.
Hey, we'll talk about that one day too, man. Like it's strength in numbers. Iron sharpens iron. Like for real, we need each other, man. We need each other to survive and to build our brands. And so I'm just grateful for everything that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And the reason why I love doing that, Issa Rae, she was doing like a panel discussion and she talked about how, and we're going to wrap up after this, but she talked about how so many people are striving for that vertical connection, the vertical collab. But she was like, her success came from collabing with her friends, her peers, horizontally. And that's probably some of the strongest collabs, because you're pulling everybody with you. And that's where my heart is. If I do, end up interviewing, the people on my wish list that I want to interview and collab with. Great. Of course, I want to do those things.
Right.
But I really think my niche, my lane is collabing horizontally with people.
Absolutely.
Where I am in this chapter of my life, and taking those with me, because I've posted before, create a platform and bring people with you. So
That's it. It's good. It's good.
Awesome. Well, I hope everyone got something from this conversation, everybody. This is your girl. This is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast, the podcast where innovators and creators connect. I will see you guys next week. We are continuing on with these great conversations. If you happen to miss tonight's episode, go to my YouTube channel. The replay will be available there. Also, subscribe at thespeakerpodcast.com. Shop right now. Merch is available. We are having our sale. Go right now to Chemistry Room Fragrances. Use the coupon code SPR22 to save at the checkout. You do need to subscribe and grab that. And I'll see you guys on the other side. Be blessed. Good night.
Bless.